So today we're going to go over art's opening kills actually in the map against MIBR on Overpass. So as you can see in the top left, this is entry number 1, and we're actually going to be tracking essentially why these opening kills were important, but also why or how MIBR could have done differently. Because from watching through all these, it's actually kind of really poor from MIBR's side in terms of how they try to trade. Like some of these, this first clip is actually just they all walk into it one by one. There's nobody jumping around. The trade was quite late. He gets 3 kills for free. He had a kit in that situation as well, so he had no armor. The second one, a bit more difficult to actually get away with, because, as we saw, we won the pistol round. He has an M4. There's a flash from Junior, which is really nice. And then there really isn't much chance for them to trade off of it. And trading is actually going to be the main thing I'm going to be addressing here, because if I remember correctly, I think only 2 of the rounds where he gets opening kills do they actually trade him. And if I remember correctly once more as well, Furia through 2021 actually had a really, really low 5v4 win percentage, which means, in my mind, it was just a case of, okay, well, they've got arT, so he probably gets the opening quite often, which means they have a lot of 5v4s, but everybody's expecting him to actually get the opening kill, so they're ready for him to aggress, and they make sure they're in pairs, which means they can trade him. I'm just showing this second bit here as well, because the setup they had in play actually made them lose the round, and we're now going to see his only opening death as well. So this bit here shows Junior dropping the AUG towards arT, and arT drops 2 CZs across to his teammate. So he's essentially the hero AUG in this round. So when looking for the actual opening kill, you'd expect arT to actually go for something quite audacious anyway. But instead they actually go for, first off, the regular connector boost, which is pretty common one. We see a lot of teams do this early on in the round, and they actually kind of mess it up, but at the same time I think they jumped and saw that there was nobody there, and they pull back. Instead, they opt for this setup in bathrooms, which is actually incredibly common, really. Like, normally you'd play it with a rifle and an AWP. So instead, obviously, they're doing the budget version, which is a CZ and an AUG. And arT, when he sees the smoke actually ready to fade, he actually peeks in and actually gets his first opening kill death, right? And honestly, looking from his POV, which we'll see very shortly, he actually gets kind of unlucky. It feels like he does tap, maybe 4-5 times at least on the Noko. So, yeah, you could argue even the opening death that he got was quite unfortunate, really. So the fourth entry we're going to see as well, so you can see that the Furia players are ready and aggressing right here. And on the other side, the MIBR players are on an eco, which is why it's so easy for him to actually get the opening kill, and still no trade attempt either. It takes about 5 seconds, and in this situation, arT is fortunately, aware enough that he has backup in case of Rato. Because during this entire round, arT had actually been peppering them. Like, they haven't been doing these really awkward jiggle peeks, and you saw an instance of it right at the start of this clip as well. And due to that, we see arT fill the kill feed with assists rather than kills. Entry kill number 5 is actually not too surprising. We expect arT to do this sort of thing quite often, which is playing behind smokes and then trying to actually time it. And he actually finds a gap and gets the kill on Shallow, and a trade is attempted by Yell, but unfortunately it doesn't come through. And even when they do finally trade him off, Junior is there to actually retrade. So that goes from a 5v4 into a 5v3, and then a 4v3, and then even then a 4v2 in the space of, 5-6 seconds? Probably the worst case scenario, really. So we're witnessing it from arT's point of view. It's quite a simple one. He has a little gap on the bottom right of the smoke, and then especially as it starts to fade, he sees the player first and gets the opening kill. We're also going to actually check on Junior's POV as well, just to see how quickly or how easy it was for him to then retrade after all of it. So entry number 6 is actually with arT having the double AWP. So it's a few rounds later on. He did just die in the middle in that previous one. And the double AWP is something we see quite often for Furia anyway. And this is probably the easiest one he'll get in this. And don't ask me why his gun is invisible in third person. That was a weird demo bug that seems to be playing through. But as soon as the smoke fades, it's an easy pick onto bolts. And yet again, there is no trade. Like, arT seems to have, in this game at least, found basically the highest percentage plays, no matter what, across the map to get these entries, where there actually was a lack of trading, which it really is like the core thing. You know you're playing against a player like arT, you should make sure you're in pairs whenever possible, if not trio, right? Because then you can make sure that you do trade efficiently. And every round, basically, Furia would double nading or nading this door off, which means that arT can go for different kinds of opening kills. We didn't see it actually in this POV, but a player had already got to the right-hand side in connector, and arT will actually peek it as he decides to cross, and it's another free kill. We'll see it from his POV now. It's very simple, and there's nothing special about the way this play has been done. Simply just peeking into angles slowly and clearing everything. And in this instance gets a very nice timing onto SHZ. So number 8 is actually in connector, once more with the AWP, so we just saw Shuz actually get killed from outside of short through the door. So he decides, okay, I'll smoke off the door gap and then I'll clear connector fully. It's a bit unlucky really. arT is now playing in connector with his AWP and it's another free kill with no trade. So we're going to actually see this actually later on as well. So he doesn't actually only get the one kill in this round, he gets the second one, which was actually on bolts. Just to show once more again, MIBR were not trading in this game, and that was a clear issue in their actual gameplay. So from his point of view, we'll actually see this a bit more cleanly. The door was gone yet again, which means the smoke actually covers the door. And then SHZ peeks into it. It's a really quick shot from arT, to be fair to him. And actually a very needed shot, which then gives him freedom to actually explore further. Because that is the typical door lurk. If they've done their research, they'll know that. But just in case, he smokes it off and then actually wanders out towards B short after cello had been killed. Entry goal number 9 is actually, in my opinion, just completely all on Yell. Like, this isn't arT actually doing the play here, it's Yell making the misplay time and time again. Okay, so we're hearing the scout battle, he's jumping side left to right, and Yell had actually got the tag onto arT in this instance as well. And for whatever reason, after getting tagged, he tries to jump across again and just gives away a free opening kill. Like, for no reason whatsoever. It looks much worse from this point of view especially. So arT's just doing his due diligence, he holds an angle for a while, checks further forward, clears everything, and then he'll carry on holding the angle and he sees Yell jump across. So it's like, okay, there is a player here. arT even gets tagged first here as well, as I mentioned. And even though arT has no armor or anything and they're on like a force buy, right, it's the second round after they lost the pistol, he carries on facing it because, well, there's a chance he can get the opening kill. And he does, because Yell gifts it to him. Round 10 is actually, or entry kill 10 at least, is a bit more of a funky one because they battle through the smoke and then arT swings on the toilets knowing he has to move there and gets a free opening kill once more. Yet again, no trade. Like, that is the number one thing in this. You have to be there to trade each other when you're playing against a team like Furia. The same will go for Virtus Pro with Yakindar. It's these players where you know what to expect, yet they just don't prepare for it. Entry kill number 11 is actually something similar. We see arT come through the smoke in bathrooms to kill cello and he escapes without a trade once more. This one's a bit different because they first off clear the player towards highway, and arT decides, I'm going to smoke bathroom. They'll flash off the player at highway, and arT decides to slip through the smoke like a ship in the night and actually gets the opening kill without very much ease right here. And knows that the scout is the trade, which means he won't be very quick for it and he won't actually charge for it. This one's quite funny because it's actually a flash that hits the... I don't think it's meant to hit where it did, but it does, and then arT, because he's trying to dodge the flash, sees bolts for short, gets the kill, and then gets traded.